BTA vessels, my secret passages. I always start these sort of presentations highlighting the importance of being familiar with the anatomy. Here we are. Why? Because it's really relevant to know what are the anatomical variations in the BTK and BTA vessels, the connections between the dorsal and the plantar system, and also the name of the foot, arteries. This is relevant because it's very easy if you can dot to dot it, if you have some patent areas. But what happens if you don't? The outcomes are not so good, right? And for this, it's really important as well just to be systematic to perform the two projections, because what it may seem something in one view, this beautiful plantar loop, may be slightly different if you perform the AP view. This is not a plantar loop. This is a transcollateral from the DP to the medial plantar. And you are all familiar with this anatomy, the dorsal system, the plantar system. Yes, 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 yes. The connection through the plantar arch. But it starts watching like poker faces. If we talk about anatomical variations, like this absence of VP, the dominance of the medial plantar or the lateral plantar, or even the absence of a plantar arch. But let me be more practical. I don't want to bother you. So, what are my secret passages? Very typical one is the deep plantar arch. This guy had a wound on the first toe. We were not able to cross adequately. You see this DP artery. So we take advantage of this deep plantar arch, is the connection of the DP artery through the tarsal into the medial plantar arch. And as you can see, we were able to navigate quite nicely through this tarsal into the medial plantar, retroclete to the posterior tibial, and then recanalize the posterior tibial artery, perform the rendezvous within the support catheter itself, and then in an antegrade fashion was pretty easy just to cross into the lateral plantar, and thereafter in the below the ankle and the forefoot we navigated the arch, getting into the first digital artery. Just this is basically what we mean when we talk about wound to sum concept, trying just to get flow straight forward to the wound. Following that, we basically perform a balloon angioplasty with 2 millimeters balloon and also on the lateral plantar. And as you can see, this is the final outcome with beautiful flow into a lateral plantar up to the level of the first toe. The second typical connection we use is what we call the junction point at the level of the first metatarsal bone, because there is a connection of the dorsal and the plantar system and the medial and the lateral plantar. So look at this. This is a wire coming from the lateral plantar into the plantar arch, first metatarsal, and getting back into the medial plantar. And this can be clearly seen in this lateral view. But if you think that this is sexy, what do you think about this? This is the wire coming from the DP, plantar arch, first metatarsal, getting back, middle plantar, and then forward into the lateral plantar, again back into the arch. This is a case by Lorenzo. So this is a patient with a wound at the level of the fifth toe. As you can see on the lateral aspect of the lateral view, we have a DP, a lateral plantar, and a piece of plantar arch. But have a look to the AP view. We had an occlusion of the distal, very distal DP artery. So initially, Lorenzo thought, well, let's go plantar, fifth toe, let's go to the plantar arch through the lateral plantar. And he initially tried just to recanalize that, but he fell into a perforation. Then he thought, okay, let's recanalize this DP artery. But again, he failed. What to do? Well, he took advantage of this collateral just to get into the plantar arch, and once in the plantar arch, get back to the lateral plantar to recanalize the entire lateral plantar artery. And following the rendezvous, as you can see, he performed the balloon angioplasty, and as you can see, this is the final beautiful outcome with nice, beautiful flow into the forefoot. You can also have a connection between the medial plantar, first toe, with the plantar arch. So this is a case in which, as you can see in the lateral view, we had a medial plantar pit and a piece of arch. We tried to recanalize the lateral plantar, but we failed. We thought, why not to navigate the medial plantar? And as you can see on the AP view, there was a connection, tiny connection with the arch, which we took advantage to navigate this, getting into the arch, and once in the arch, get back into the lateral plantar to recanalize the entire lateral plantar and posterior tibial. And as you can see, this was highly effective. We were able to cross anterogly into the lateral plantar and thereafter navigate the arch and finally, eventually, the plantar loop and the DP artery. And following balloon dilation of the whole thing, look at this beautiful bridge flow all over the forefoot. There's also a connection between the medial plantar and the DP artery in the forefoot. You may probably think, no, you have already talked about that. This is the deep plantar arch. No, it's not. Look, this is a patient with an occlusion and a wound of the distal DP and a wound in the first toe. We had this patent, deep plantar arch. We tried to navigate it in order just to again recanalize the posterior tibial artery, but as you can see, we failed. So what to do? We took advantage of this wire to inflate a balloon and to perform an anti-weight puncture of the balloon on a so-called balloon-assisted puncture. And then once there, we navigated through this medial plantar artery and through these collaterals. We were able to connect with the DP artery. As you can see, following balloon dilation of the whole foot, you can see the metatarsal arteries and you see the increase of perfusion on the forefoot. This has already been shown by Marta, but let me refresh this again. This is a connection between the DP and the arch, not through the main trunk, but through collaterals. As you can see, we tried to recanalize the distal DP artery. We failed. We thought, why not just to navigate this collateral all around and then blow up a balloon in order to open the gate for an anterogate wire. And once this gate was open, it was pretty easy to navigate the arch, getting backwards, and then balloon the whole thing. And this is the final outcome. And let me finish with this case in which we had an occlusion of the anterior tibial artery, tiny tarsal artery distally, an occlusion of the common plantar, so a wound of the first toe. We recanalized the lateral plantar, but in the arch, we tried just to navigate through it up to the first toe, but as you can see, we failed, we perforate. So subintimal recanalization of the anterior tibial, we were not able to re-enter, and we didn't want to spoil the re-entry. So we navigated through this collateral in a similar way we navigated on the previous case. As you can see, once you have we open the gate through this collateral, the navigation in an anterogate fashion is pretty easy. And once there, we were able just to perform a recanalization all of the forefoot, dorsal and plantar system. So in conclusion, my take-home messages: be familiar with the anatomy, gently explore all the potential pathways using ultra-selective angio vasodilators, two-stroke projections. If you have a good budget, you can use all of techniques reported by Michael. Dedicated devices is a must and also an appropriate technique like the one my daughter, 4 years old, used to do this beautiful sponge. Thank you very much.
I'd like to welcome Dr. Bruno Miraglia to talk about deep venous arterialization in no option CLTI. Miracle or mirage?
It's not my this. Okay.
Okay, so good afternoon to everyone. It's a great pleasure to be there. And